I spent over a year using Obsidian to write and publish blog posts and loved every second of it. And I want to share it with you. In the past 4 months, I've created 8 new Obsidian plugins, built a custom Obsidian theme, and an entire Astro blog template that works with this out of the box. I'm calling it Vault CMS, and I'm giving it all away for free. Everything you're about to see is completely open source and available to download in my GitHub page, link in the description below. To make this work, you'll need 3 things. 1, Obsidian, which will be your writing environment, Astro, your static site generator, and Git to sync your Vault with your website. So in short, Obsidian, Astro, and Git are a dream combo for writing and publishing to the web. Vault CMS is an Obsidian vault that includes deliberate choices of plugins and pre-configured settings to make writing and publishing as frictionless as possible. It can also be adapted to fit any Astro theme. Installation is as simple as placing the Vault folder anywhere within your site's project directory, and it just works. What you're seeing here is my website in Obsidian with Vault CMS installed. This is just an Obsidian vault. Here we have a base view, and this is specifically using the Bases CMS plugin that I created. And you can actually select multiple items if you'd like and do bulk actions. You can set them all as a draft if you'd like, or publish them and set them to publish status, or you can edit the tags. You can remove tags, add new tags, set properties, remove them, clear selection, you name it, you can do it. So that's an overview of that, and you can even tweak the view to show the various properties that are relevant for you. So for example, we could add, let's say, we have category display, but maybe we also want to display something like, I don't know, modified time. And it will give us the modified time on the right of the last time that we've edited the file. So pretty useful there. If you'd like, you can really customize this a lot. And this will just basically mimic how a standard CMS would work, but it's completely custom and what you would like to display. And this is the home base. Every time you open a new tab, it's going to open this base view, and whenever you start and launch this vault, it's going to do the same thing. So next I want to show you, on the left you can see there's a lot of files on here. There's 77 blog posts on my website. Let's say we wanted to drill down into just one and kind of simplify our view a little bit here. What we can do is we can go right down to, let's say, everything we know about Super Smash Bros. Melee's development, and then click this focus button up here. If I click this focus button, it's going to just get right down to just this folder of all of our assets. This includes all the images and the blog posts, for example, and it simplifies things a bit for us. And clicking it again will bring the standard file explorer back to what it was. Now, the star of the show, really, plugin-wise, in my opinion, is Astro Composer. This automates a ton of what you want to do using Obsidian with an Astro website. So I'm going to show you how that works. So let's say I want to create a new blog post. I can use the new button up here if I'd like, or I can use the standard create new note view, which I can click here, and I'll call this new blog post. And when I create that, here we have all the properties inserted automatically that are relevant with today's date by default. I also have draft turned on here. I'll say new blog post description. And you can add any properties you'd like here as well. You can add tags, whatever meta properties that you like, and just start writing. This is what it's like to write in Obsidian. It's very satisfying. And you can write in Markdown for your blog posts. Pretty amazing. That just scratches the surface, though, of what you can do with Astro Composer. If you were to rename a file, you can do that as well. Here it is, show it up as this draft right here in the home base view. But we'll get to Astro Composer a bit more later. I want to show you a few more features first. So another great plugin that I developed is called SEO. And what this does is it uses various criteria to rank the potential issues, warnings, etc. with your blog posts, and it tries to give it a score based on what it finds. So I'm going to click refresh to look at the entire vault, and it looked at 78 files, and it looks like I've got a pretty good score here. But under this blog post, there's 97 notices and 37 warnings. I might pick one that has a bit more, so it's more digestible. Let's pick Super Smash Bros. DLC character calls. So let's say I want to really dig into this blog post. I can select the icon right here that opens the current note, and here's going to tell me what the issue is. So the title is a little bit too long here, and if I were to shorten this, I'd get some boost in recommended title length, and it would boost my score. The description is a little too short, on the other hand. So now let's try it again. Okay, now it passes. So with this kind of, you can walk through all of the recommendations here, and also it'll do an external link check for 404s, and that's a separate per note by default check. So if I were to click check external links for 404s, it's going to do a quick ping for each of the links, and it's actually going to say, oh, look at that. One of these looks broken. So I need to update the link here. That's pretty interesting. And it's going to tell you exactly where it is and how to fix it. And that's going to improve your score because you don't want broken links on your site. Okay, so that's the SEO plugin. Next, I want to talk about the mechanism that's used to get from your computer or your device to publish on the web. Now, all I have to do here is I'm going to actually wait on fixing this link for now because I want to demonstrate Git. So on the bottom right here, you can see a little 65 plus a small icon there called Git Commit and Sync. And what that's going to do is all I have to do is click that, and it's going to publish live automatically. So I'm going to click it. It says committed 64 files, and up here it says committed and pushed. Just like that, all the changes I made on these blog posts goes out into the wild. It's live on my website in a couple of minutes. It's pretty amazing. And we can do that with the Commander plugin. It lets us put icons all over the place and has us edit them. The other thing I want to mention with Astro Composer, I want to go back to Astro Composer for a second, is what you can do is you can actually directly edit your configuration files. In this case, this is an Astro configuration file. And you can go in and make changes to it, and you can adjust your settings from there. Pretty convenient, if I do say so myself. You can do it right in Obsidian. So, moving on, I want to show you another feature. Now, one of the beauties of writing in Markdown is you can use keyboard shortcuts like this, and you can do it however you'd like. However, if you're used to a more traditional WYSIWYG editor type approach, there is an editing toolbar that I've included also with the Commander plugin. You just select this toggle here, and you'll get a suite of more traditional options. If you want to bold something instead of manually typing like this, which I have to say I really prefer, and I would recommend you get used to. But if you don't want to use keyboard shortcuts, you can go this route and sort of call out here, say note call out. And it kind of automates a lot of stuff for you if you prefer UI. But it is closed by default because hopefully you like writing this way. In fact, the ultimate example of that is this version of Obsidian, which is completely minimal. So it's basically a version of the Vault CMS that is as stripped down visually as possible, but it's got all the same capabilities. You just have to know keyboard shortcuts. And so one of the things that I've done is kind of standardized some of the keyboard shortcuts that you can use. And so all your vaults are going to have familiar shortcuts. So Control-Alt-Z will toggle the left sidebar. Control-Alt-X will toggle the right sidebar. In this particular case, because it's really stripped down, Control-Alt-S actually hides the tab bar. And I have used another extension called Disable Tabs, so you cannot have more than one tab open, which means you don't even need that tab bar at all. You can just focus on your content. So this is an example of an extremely stripped down one. But obviously, you don't have to go this crazy, but it is cool that that is an option. And as another example, I'm going to push the changes that I have on this website with Command-Shift-S. And you can see here, it says committed 14 files and pushed to remote. I just published, again, with a keyboard shortcut very quickly. So let's open settings with Control, comma, and look at the Git settings. You can actually set up what you want the message to say in your Git history. You can even preview what it will say, which is really nice. And there are all kinds of options there. If you are using this on mobile, what I would recommend is scrolling to the very bottom on your mobile device and turn on disable this device, because Git sync is my recommended option for mobile, and maybe I'll cover that in another video. So I'll tangent there. Okay, so I've shown you my website's Vault. I've shown you a sort of minimal version of it. The thing I really want to show you next is a website that is built with Vault CMS in mind, and that is Astro Modular. It's an Astro theme that I created with Vault CMS in mind, so it has a ton more features, and it's even more user-friendly than what you've seen. So for example, when you very first launch this for the first time, let's open the setup wizard. It's going to pop up here. It's going to ask you, what's the URL to your site? What's the site title? And all you have to do is fill this out. Click what kind of design you want. You can select the color scheme you want, the theme for your website. You can pick what fonts you want. It is extremely intuitive and user-friendly. You can drag and drop nav items, add social links if you'd like. Here's what the front end looks like, by the way. This is what Astro Modular looks like. And you can see it's got some classic Obsidian staples, like the graph view. It's got linked mentions on the bottom of every page. You can see here every time a post is mentioned, it's all collapsible. So you can see here, it's connected that way. And one of the most impressive things is everything you see on the front end here in terms of formatting and styling. Here are some callouts, for example, including collapsible ones. All of this is one-to-one, or virtually one-to-one parity with what you see in Obsidian. So you have tables here. You've got some button options. You got a quick formatting reference up here. So I'm going to open the same blog post and show you what I mean. So if I open formatting reference in here, you're going to see this matches this. And of course, this is going to change depending on the theme that you're using, which this also you can change. So let's change to, let's say, minimal, or let's change this to, say, Everforest. And you can give the user the option to change it if you want, or you can set it to be exactly what you want. You have control over all of these things. So I showed you a little bit of the Astro Modular settings plugin with that wizard, but I want to show you in depth a little bit more. So if I go to Astro Modular settings, you can run that wizard again, no problem. There are a few steps I didn't show you, but it's very straightforward and features that you can add. I'll explain the difference between file-based and folder-based probably in another video, but that's pretty important to this. You can enable profile pictures and comments using Discuss. You can pick your deployment platform if you're deploying on Netlify, Vercel, GitHub Pages, or Cloudflare Workers. And also, it kind of gives a check to make sure that your plugins are configured correctly, and then you're done. So that's kind of how that works. But if you dig into the actual settings here, you have not only access to everything that you saw earlier again, but you have even more options in settings. One of the reasons this is called Astro Modular is because it has so many features and things you can tweak that will completely transform your site. You have so many settings here to tweak. And what this is actually doing is it's editing your config.ts file for you. So here's the actual config file, which would be kind of laborious to edit yourself, although you can if you're a developer and you prefer to do that. This is actually modifying it automatically for you, which is really awesome. So I'm going to show you a live example of this working. I'm going to press Control-Shift-D to open the terminal, and I'm going to actually run pnpm dev. And what that's going to do is it's going to mimic how the site would run, but it's running locally on my computer instead of being published to an external site. So I'm going to go ahead and open this link. And let's clean it up so it's a little bit easier to see here. I'm going to wait for it to load. And now here it is. This is the version of our website that is running locally. This is on a local host. And so let's say I wanted to make some serious changes. Let's say I wanted a really minimal version of this site. What I could do is go to Astro Modular settings, go to config, and change the template from standard to minimal. It's going to tell me what it's going to change, and I'm going to click continue. And it's going to push my changes automatically. Let's see what it looks like on the front end here. So it's going to load all the settings in. It's running the dev environment, and here we are. We have a completely fresh, minimal theme, and it took one click to do. So the kind of fancy things we saw earlier on the sidebar, it has all been stripped down to this template. So let's say you want something a little bit more substantial than this super minimal one. You have this command palette as well. What you can do is you can go into Vault CMS, in this case, go into our settings plugin, and change it to compact. Now, a settings plugin like what you're seeing right now is going to have to be tailor-made for the Astro theme that you have. So this particular aspect is only Astro Modular specific, not necessarily for every Vault that you have, but this is showing you the power of what you can do. And again, all this is open source. This is free to download, so you can experiment with it, make your own forks, make your own versions of it. I want to see people get really creative in how they approach this sort of thing. So here we have, not quite as stripped down as what you just saw, but, it's a little bit more bare bones than the main one, but a little bit more fleshed out as well. So those are just the presets. I mean, you can literally control every single aspect of this site. So I'm going to go to advanced, and I'm going to reset to defaults, and that's going to reset the whole site. So if you, for some reason, get it into a mess, which is very hard to do. This is very user-friendly and intuitive, I would say. You can reset it anytime. Now, I'm going to also simulate creating a new blog post in this environment, because there are a few more things that I want to show you, and this demonstrates it very well. So I'm going to create a new blog post using this new button up here, and I'm going to call this new blog post demo. By the way, the theme that's running is Oxygen, a theme for Obsidian that I forked from another one, and it's got this custom color palette and a few animations and things that look pretty nice. I might talk about that in another video more in depth, but I want to show you this capability first. So here's a new blog post. This is a description. I'll give it a few tags, Astro blog, meta. And then for the image, what I want to do here is press Control-Shift quote, and if I press that, I can type in whatever I want, and it will come up with a response. Okay, so here is the selection. It's pulling directly from Unsplash, but you can pick a different source if you'd like. And once it's clicked, you're actually going to be prompted to give it a title. I'm going to call this trees, but it's going to default to the name of the blog post, or the slug of the blog post that you have, and click rename. This is an opportunity to use a descriptive name. That's good for search engines. So what you can see here is now we have this lovely banner on the top, and if I go back to home base, you can see here's our new draft blog post right here. Right from here, if I want to rename it, I can do that as well, because Bases CMS and Astro Composer work together. Those are plugins that I made that work together. So all I have to do is click this. Let's say I want to rename this to completely different title. One risk is when you rename things, you want the slug or the URL path to match the title. So if I click rename, check out down here, it actually swapped it automatically. But this could present a new problem where if someone's trying to access your old link, it might get a 404 page or a dead page. But I've added another plugin called Alias File Name History. What that does is it automatically adds an alias of every time you've changed a title. And with Astro Modular, this particular theme, it's going to store those aliases and automatically have them set up as redirects to go to your new blog post. So you are completely covered. You can use the rename function, Control-R, and that's going to let you rename it instantly, and it's going to update the slug automatically, and it's going to store the old name as an alias for you. So it's all taken care of. I want to show you a couple more things before we go. Control-Shift-Z opens Zen mode. This is a chance for you to really get in the zone and focus on just writing and getting done what you need to do. Very handy for that. Very quick to do as well. Just Control-Shift-Z, and you'll bounce between that. Again, reminder, if you want the more traditional WYSIWYG approach, the editing toolbar is always here for you as well. The last thing I want to really show before I kind of wrap up this video is property over file name. You'll notice on top here, by default, Obsidian uses file names as the title. But in this case, we have it reading the title property instead. Let's say I want to link to another post. Let's say I want to link to, let's say, the Obsidian embeds demo. If I do double brackets and start having Obsidian, it's going to pull up Obsidian embeds demo. And if I click it, it's going to automatically pull in that name instead of the file name, the title. And that also is true for backlinks. So if I go to, there's no linked mentions here, so let me open up one that has it. Let's go to getting started. So here we have linked mentions, and we have the actual titles showing up right here instead of the file names. This is also true in graph view. That's right, this theme supports graph view, so you can see how your blog posts connect to each other, and of course, it also displays on the front end. So if I go to, let's say, one of these posts, you can see the graph view up here works exactly like it does in Obsidian, which is pretty cool. I haven't seen too many of these that work well like this does. There's an overall graph view as well if you prefer that, which you can also grab from the command palette. Control-K also works for this theme. Enough about this theme though. I get excited about talking about it. Back to this. So the very last thing I want to show you is if you want to customize and really tweak your experience, you can of course change any of these plugins. You can change any of these settings. I recommend going into these settings in Obsidian and going into each of these and customizing all these things. Alias, file name, history. You can customize, which folders are tracked. You can exclude folders. In Astro Composer, you can not only create automated things for posts, but you can automate pages. You can automate custom content types that you define in locations that you choose. There's a converter that takes Obsidian links and converts them automatically into web links for Astro. So pretty much everything I could think of has been accounted for here. Here's where you define the terminal command and which file gets edited when you run the command, or when you edit the Astro configure command. Bases CMS, go in here and customize what buttons show up in your custom base. In Commander, change what buttons show up in your interface, add them. This is a great community plugin that was created that's very useful in this case. And I guarantee this Vault CMS instance is going to be look different and be out of date by the time you try it, because I'm updating it so quickly. There's so many new things that I'm doing. So I just encourage you to explore, look around in the settings, and then you can even go to community plugins and just browse for more plugins and try them out and whatever works for your use case. If there's a setting or a feature or configuration that you want in any of these plugins, especially the ones that I'm maintaining, Alias, File Name History, Astro Composer, Bases CMS, these sorts of plugins, please create an issue, do a pull request on GitHub. Again, all of these are open source. I just really want you to try them because, again, I've been doing it for over a year now. I absolutely love this workflow. And with things like Astro Modular, obviously you can do even more with this sort of thing. And I hope to see more people forking this, doing this. You might be asking me, after spending hundreds and hundreds of hours on this, how am I making money? Well, I have two plans for that. One, you can always support me on Patreon, patreon.com/DavidVKimball, and that will give me the support I need to keep doing things like this. And two, I'm planning on releasing some premium Astro templates that are like Astro Modular, but are more specific for one thing or another, but will have all these amazing same capabilities. I'll have a custom Obsidian plugin like this one that you can use to make things a breeze to publish, and you'll have a bunch of awesome options for themes. And I'm very, very excited about this. I know some of you who follow my work may not even be aware that I am into this or I do anything like this. I think it's important to share it with you, and of course, I understand if it's a different direction than you're used to me going in, but hope you're staying here for the ride, and I would love to hear your feedback and thoughts. Thank you so much for watching. God bless, and I'll see you in the next video.